Which is the best social media platform for physios to be on? Hi, I'm Dr. Cass Spencer-Smith of Private Practice Ninja, and today we're going to be talking about why you may be making the classic mistake of using a platform you like rather than the platform you should actually be on, where to find your social media audience, and most importantly, why you should ditch most of the platforms. One of the clients I work with is an amazing physio. He's already got a nicely growing practice, but he came to me because he wasn't feeling known. He felt like other people out there didn't know who he was. He tried a bit of dabbling around on bits of social media here and there. He said to me, I can't quite figure out Instagram. He didn't really get it and he wanted some advice. Now, maybe you're feeling a bit like him. You may even be wondering, is it really worth it? And how does it actually lead to you getting patients? What's all the fuss about? We're going to do a little deep dive on the different platforms, and hopefully you'll get an idea at the end of it about where you should be putting your time, effort and sometimes money in order to grow your private practice. Before we do that, I want to point out 4 things that are very important that you should know about social media. The first is the idea that sometimes it's paid for, but mostly it's unpaid for. So there's this concept of organic reach in social media. So when you put something on Facebook and you're not paying Facebook any money to post it there, that's organic. Now, these platforms want to make money. They make lots of money. And they do that by flogging stuff to us. And what they flog is basically adverse and boosted posts. So that comes into play when you're thinking about how far your reach is with the platforms that you're using. So you're going to be sorely disappointed if you think that most of the time you're posting out there that it's even going to get seen. The second thing to remember is that social media should never replace your home. Now, your home should be your private practice website. Social media is a great place to get your word out, but unfortunately these platforms can be a bit fickle and sometimes they break. For instance, a few days ago, Facebook was down for a huge proportion of the day and people who had adverts and funnels running found themselves in trouble. Platforms ultimately control what they want. They're not looking after your future. Your future needs to be on your website, and the purpose of social media is to send people to your website. The third thing to remember is that people rarely buy from social media channels. What might that look like for you? Well, if you're a physio and you happen to run Pilates classes, you might want to be running an offering. So you might think it's a logical thing to put up a post that says 12 sessions for the price of 12s in my amazing Pilates class. It doesn't tend to work like that, and Mark Zuckerberg and other channels have made it very clear that actually they want to see less of the kind of businessy, salesy chat and more stuff to be between friends. So when you're posting, think about, rather than saying, come to my class, this is the selling platform, bring them over to your website where you might have a landing page instead. The fourth thing to remember is you're not like everyone else. You're an individual, and so is your audience. So what might work for me may well not work for you. So let's have a look at those social media platforms. Everyone's heard of Facebook, right? Even my mum. Most of us have probably had a Facebook account at one point or another. You might have cancelled it in disgust, I don't know. You might be doing really well with it. Facebook's a funny one because it's one of the ones that's been around for the longest and most people know it. But actually it's very hard these days to get good organic reach. The reality is, if you're putting a post out on Facebook and you're not paying for it in any way, your audience is likely to be 2% of the people who sign up to watch your stuff. And that's really disappointing. That's about 1 in 50. And over the years, that trend is getting less and less and less. So Facebook is probably a place to be if you want to appeal to, say, groups of people and you want to put some money behind it in the form of a Facebook ad. So if you're willing to spend your money, like our physio, you might find that that's a good home for you, but otherwise, if you're going to use it purely for an organic reach sort of area, you're not going to do brilliantly. The other thing you have to remember about is in Facebook groups, there's a lot of etiquette involved. So what you can't do is think, great, I'm going to sign up to all these yummy mummy groups where my post-pregnancy ladies are going to be, and I'm going to flog on my amazing physio sessions in there. It won't be liked, okay? So think very carefully about connecting with people and what it is that you ultimately want to be sharing with them. If you want to do that kind of thing, you need to reach out to them and give them useful content rather than trying to flog them something. Generally speaking, Facebook is probably less of a home than you might think it is. Twitter, our old friend Twitter. Most of us cut our teeth on it when we were first getting going with social media. Twitter has really morphed. In the past, it used to be a place where you could connect with people. now it almost views itself as an actual news channel rather than a social media platform. We can think of lots of occasions when there have been atrocities going on around the world, or crises even here in London when we've had terrorists, where the Twitter feed has gone wild, and it's a bit like the sort of drums across the community have been beating and everyone's been getting to hear what's going on. Twitter's a great place if you want to show a bit of kind of authority in an area where you could jump onto a timely conversational topic. So it could be that you're talking about, you'll say you're an oncologist and you're worried about Brexit and drugs coming in and out of the UK, and you could jump in there and show your sort of prowess in that area. But it's not somewhere typically that you're going to gather in patients. Interestingly, we're always asked to tweet about it when we go to a conference. So again, it's another way to temporarily raise your awareness with colleagues there. But personally, Twitter's probably not a great place to gather patients. LinkedIn. It's a bit of a dark horse, LinkedIn. You might have thought it was a place for stuffy businessmen to get to, a bit like an old boys club. And it may have been like that in the past, where before you literally had to ask somebody else to introduce you in order to connect with them. LinkedIn is booming now as a B2B place. So in other words, if I'm a clinician looking to seek referrals from another clinician, it's a fantastic place for you to meet them. And the best thing about LinkedIn is everybody knows that they're there for some kind of serious thing in mind. So it's not the sort of place you're going to see lots of videos about cats, sadly. Video on LinkedIn now is huge. So like our physio, you may seriously be wanting to consider jumping on LinkedIn because it really boosts video in its algorithm. Now, all of these social media platforms use a kind of algorithm. It's rare these days that they actually show the last thing that you posted, the most recent thing that you posted to people. It's more about they'll post stuff out to you that you get the best engagement or reach with. So the aim with all of these platforms is to get good engagement. Now, what gets good engagement on LinkedIn? Video, and interestingly, posts that are mostly text, not posts with text and pictures, which is a surprise. So LinkedIn could be a great place for you to connect with orthopedic surgeons, rheumatologists, sports doctors, if you're a physio. So make sure that you have a little think about whether that's where a place you could find your referrers from. The best time to post on LinkedIn is before clinic, lunchtime and after clinic, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are the best days. Instagram. We all gotta love a bit of Insta, haven't we? It's a bit cool, it's pretty, we like it, but we can spend a lot of time there, misplaced if you like, if we're not careful. Now, Instagram could be the right place for you as a physio. It all comes down to the audience. So for example, LinkedIn may be a brilliant place for you to meet potential referrers, but Instagram could potentially be a place for you to gather in sort of patients gently. At the moment, Instagram tends to be a place where more women than men hang out. Yes, men do go there too, but it's about 70% skewed toward the ladies. And it tends to be a younger population, so women in their 20s and 30s. If you're somebody who likes treating city boy weekend warriors, you ain't going to find them on Instagram, but it seems tempting to be there because it's a pretty platform to engage with. Instagram also has some other difficulties as well to do with links and getting people back over to your site, which is ultimately what it's about. The good thing about Instagram is if that's where your people are, so if you've got sort of young business type ladies, you might have young mums, etc., you'll probably find them on Insta, but also video is a sort of natural home for Instagram because of Instagram stories, and there's Instagram TV. So video is now everywhere on Insta, which is fantastic. It's a great way for you to be able to demonstrate some physical stuff. So it could be that you're somebody showing somebody how to do a particular stretch, or here's how to do a good squat, etc. But make sure you're not doing it in vain. The trap with Instagram is we tend to love it, so we do it for us when we're maybe not doing it for our audience. So which social media platform should you be spending time on? Well, first of all, don't forget your website and your email list are your priorities, and social media is the icing on the cake, bringing people to your website. But you need to do a deep dive into thinking about where your potential referrers are, which may be LinkedIn, and where your potential patients are, and it may not be where you think they are. So which social media platform should you engage with as a physio? Well, this is where the SACM principle comes in. Andrew and Pete, who are a couple of my favourite marketing gurus, talk about the 90-10 principle, which is basically focus what you do well in your life, 90% of the time, focus on that, do that well, and the rest of the 10% you can have a play with. And this is where you should be thinking about what you're doing with your time when it comes to social media. So for me personally, as a doctor, as a sports doctor, I'm spending most of my time on LinkedIn, because that's where I meet with potential referrers. As much as I love the idea of pretty Instagram, it's not really where my people are. You need to do a deep dive into checking in with where are my patients, who are they, and am I using this platform simply because I like it, rather than actually I should be over there where my audience really is. So sack off the rest of them, concentrate on one. If you've got some platforms open at the moment, be a bit brave. Why not pin a tweet to the top saying on your Twitter channel, you can find me over here on Insta, or you can find me over here on LinkedIn. Shut them down and resist the temptation to pour extra minutes and hours each month into engaging on those platforms, because all you're doing is encouraging other people to engage with you on those platforms. You want one home and you want to do it really well. I'm Dr. Cass Spencer-Smith of Private Practice Ninja. We'll see you next time.